I've never met an alligator yet that can outlast Troy Landry. Most people would die to have this kind of job. You know, they're stuck behind a desk or...
People have died, been arrested, and crashed their cars, and it all happened off camera on Swamp People. Since 2010, the show has followed the lives of Louisiana bayou hunters. But the drama wasn't just on screen, it was real. Some tragedies shocked fans, while others barely made headlines. So who from the Swamp People cast has faced the harshest blows off camera? And which stories reveal a side of the show the cameras never captured? Join us as we reveal the full truth behind the cast's real-life struggles. Mitchell Guist, the first loss the show never fully recovered from. Mitchell Guist was 47 years old, 4 days shy of his 48th birthday, when he died on the Belle River near Pierrepart, Louisiana, on May 14, 2012. He was working alongside an unidentified companion on the water, doing what he had done his entire adult life, in the place he had spent his entire adult life, when he suddenly collapsed from what witnesses described as a seizure and fell into the boat. Emergency CPR was administered immediately on the scene, and he was transported by ambulance to Morgan City Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The Ascension Parish coroner's subsequent autopsy determined the cause of death to be natural causes, with cardiac arrest as the mechanism, meaning that a man who had spent decades in one of Louisiana's most physically demanding occupations died not from the swamp, but from his own heart, on the water he loved, in the company of someone who could not save him. The History Channel released a statement that was, in its brevity, genuinely moving. We are extremely saddened to report that our friend and beloved member of the Swamp People family, Mitchell Guist, has passed away earlier today. Mitchell passed on the swamp doing what he loved. The show's executive producer Brian Catalina called him a treasured friend, and said the production had lost a really important part of our family. He had appeared in seasons 2 and 3 of the series, always alongside his brother Glenn, and the two of them had brought something to the show that was hard to articulate but immediately recognizable. A genuine, unhurried brotherly bond built on decades of shared labor in the same difficult place. Glenn Guist continued appearing on Swamp People after his brother's death, returning for several more seasons and last appearing in Season 11 in 2020. His departure from the show was quiet, and he has not spoken publicly about why he stopped appearing. Fans who had watched him grieve on camera in the season following Mitchell's death understood, without needing to be told, that at some point, continuing to hunt on the same water where your brother died might simply become more than any reasonable person should be expected to do for a television production. As of 2021, reports indicated that Glenn was still living the bayou life and was building a houseboat near Pierrepart on the Belle River, the same river where his brother had died, which says everything about who the Guist brothers were and where their roots ran. Mitchell Guist's death was the first loss the show had to absorb, and it set a precedent for how the production handled grief, with restraint, with real tribute, and with the understanding that the people on screen were not characters, but neighbors. The second death landed very differently, because it happened on a highway, and it left behind a wife and 3 children who had to keep living in the community the show had made famous. Randy Edwards, the loss that hit the Edwards family twice. Randy Edwards grew up in a Swamp People household, the youngest son of Junior Edwards and Teresa Edwards, who were among the show's original cast members, and the younger brother of William "Willie" Edwards, who has continued hunting on the series into its most recent seasons. He appeared on Season 1 and then returned for Seasons 3 through 6, a presence in the swamp community that was inseparable from his family's identity and from the show's own origin story. He was 35 years old when he died on September 15, 2018, and he did not die in the water or in the swamp or anywhere near an alligator. He died on Highway LA 75 South in a single-vehicle accident in which his car struck a utility pole, was thrown from the vehicle on impact, and was pronounced dead at the scene by emergency responders. Louisiana State Police conducted a toxicology screening following the crash, as is standard procedure in single-vehicle fatalities, but the results were never publicly released. Reports at the time indicated that impaired driving was suspected, though no official determination was ever confirmed through public channels. The announcement of his death came through the family's shared social media account on the same day. It is in deep sadness that I make this post. Junior and Teresa's son, Willie's brother, Randy, passed away in a vehicle accident early this morning. Randy was 35. His obituary confirmed that he was survived by his wife and 3 children. The Edwards family's continued presence on the show in the seasons that followed has been described by fans and cast members alike as a tribute to both Randy and the larger Edwards legacy in the Bayou community. The Edwards family would face a second major loss 7 years later. Junior Edwards, the patriarch who had launched the family's presence on Swamp People in the very first season, and who had appeared across 100 episodes total, including a return in Season 12, died on July 26, 2025, at the age of 61. His grandson, Lil Willie Edwards, confirmed the news on Facebook with a post that read, "Rest easy, Pawpaw. I know you're probably running your hoop nets or doing something crazy inside those pearly gates." A subsequent post confirmed that Junior had been battling colon cancer. His co-stars responded immediately. Ronnie Adams posted tributes. Ashley Deadeye Jones called him one of the greatest alligator hunters there is, and a real hardcore outdoorsman. And the outpouring was genuine, coming from people who had hunted alongside him and known him outside the cameras for decades. Junior's death in the summer of 2025 came as the show was preparing to continue into its 17th season, and it landed on a fan base that had already processed the loss of Mitchell Guist 13 years earlier, and the loss of Randy Edwards 7 years before Junior's passing. 3 deaths in the extended cast, 3 documented in police reports and obituaries and network statements. None of them happened during filming. All of them happened in the real world that the show had been documenting for 15 years, and the community that had gathered around that documentation mourned each one with the specificity and weight of people who had actually known these men. The deaths are the heaviest part of this accounting, but they are not the only part, because alongside the tragedies, there is also a documented legal record, a series of arrests involving cast members that spans the full run of the show, and some of those cases are more serious than the tabloid coverage at the time suggested. Trapper Joe LaFont, a domestic violence record that went beyond one incident. Gnosis Joseph LaFont Jr., known to Swamp People viewers as Trapper Joe, was one of the show's most colorful early personalities, a Louisiana alligator hunter who appeared alongside his stepson, Tommy Chauvin, known as Trigger Tommy, and who brought a combustible, larger-than-life energy to the screen that generated both entertainment and, eventually, a significant amount of documented legal trouble. His first arrest came in June 2012 at the Buena Vista Hotel and Spa in Orange County, Florida, where witnesses reported watching him punch his girlfriend in the chest during an argument and attempt to burn her arm with a lit cigarette. The arresting officer confirmed a strong smell of alcohol on his breath. The victim was observed with visible injuries, and LaFont was taken into custody and released on $1,500 bond. The 2012 arrest was the beginning of a pattern rather than an isolated incident. According to reporting by Looper, LaFont was arrested again in 2013 on similar charges, and again in 2015, when he was accused of shoving his girlfriend hard enough to break 2 of her ribs. The escalation across 3 separate domestic violence incidents over 3 years is a documented legal record, arrest reports, booking records, bonds posted and released, that existed alongside his public persona as a beloved swamp character on a History Channel reality show. The show never addressed the arrests on screen, and LaFont eventually left the series, with Tommy Chauvin officially retiring from alligator hunting during the COVID-19 pandemic. Tommy's departure was accelerated by his own legal history. Reports indicate he lost his gun rights following domestic battery charges of his own, which is a particularly consequential legal consequence for a man whose entire professional identity was built around firearms and the alligator hunt. Trapper Joe's case represents the most sustained and documented pattern of legal trouble in the show's history. But the arrest that drew the most immediate national attention came from a father and son team whose road rage escalated into a documented assault that ended both of their television careers. RJ and J. Paul Molinere, the beer bottle, beating that ended their run on the show. Roland R.J. Molinere Jr. and his son Roland III, known on-screen as J. Paul, were a genuinely compelling television duo, a Native American hunting team from Bourg, Louisiana, who brought a distinct energy and skill set to the show, and who were well enough liked by viewers to sustain multiple seasons of appearances. RJ was a 2-time world champion arm wrestler with a fighter's instinct that the show's marketing leaned heavily into. J. Paul was described in his History Channel biography as his father's best friend and right-hand sharpshooter. The reality was that on August 8, 2013, those instincts resulted in something the show could not incorporate into its narrative or overlook in its casting decisions. According to the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, RJ and J. Paul got into a verbal altercation with a 24-year-old man while driving on the 101 Bourg-La Rose highway. Rather than letting the exchange end there, they followed the man to Roland's Mini-Mart on the same highway, where RJ allegedly struck the victim in the head with a beer bottle. The victim sustained a black eye, a swollen jaw, and a welt on his forehead. Both men surrendered to authorities on September 6, 2013, and were booked on aggravated battery charges, released on $1,000 bail each. Their attorneys issued a statement saying the Molineres were in fact the victims and vowed to fight the charges. But the legal outcome of the case was never publicly confirmed. What was confirmed was the professional outcome. Neither RJ nor J. Paul appeared on Swamp People again after their arrest, effectively ending their television careers with the show after seasons of audience investment in their storyline. J. Paul Molinere's legal trouble did not end with the 2013 incident. In April 2024, he was arrested again and sentenced to 67 days in jail for failure to pay certain financial obligations, a different category of legal consequence than the 2013 battery charge, but a continued pattern of court-ordered compliance issues that his mother felt serious enough to launch a fundraiser to assist with his expenses. Both RJ and J. Paul have remained active outside of television, with RJ launching a swamp tour operation through Louisiana's bayous and J. Paul working in heavy machinery and raising a family. Their absence from the show has been permanent, and the 2013 arrest is the documented reason. The Molinere case involved a road rage incident that became a battery charge. The next case on this list involves something that, by any standard, is more dangerous: a current cast member who shot at a boat on a Louisiana bayou and then failed to show up for his own trial. Chase Landry, the career that somehow survived scandals. Chase Landry is the son of Troy Landry, the closest thing Swamp People has to an enduring franchise anchor, and he has been a recurring presence on the show for years as a member of the Landry hunting operation. In September 2016, while alligator hunting in Bayou Payne in Terrebonne Parish, Chase fired a weapon at a passing commercial shrimp boat. His stated reason, which he has maintained consistently, was that the shrimp boat was traveling at a speed that put his own vessel in danger of being struck and sunk, and that he fired to force the other boat to slow down. The Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office determined that a bullet had penetrated a plastic gas can on top of the cabin of the shrimp boat, that the shrimp boat had subsequently fled the scene, leaking gasoline from what appeared to be a gunshot wound, and that Chase was located shortly afterward, driving down a nearby highway. He was arrested for illegal discharge of a firearm, admitted to firing the weapon, and was taken into custody. The trial that followed became its own separate legal drama. Louisiana State Police issued a warrant for Chase's arrest when he failed to appear in court on the scheduled start date of his trial, with his attorney present in the courtroom and Chase nowhere in evidence. The coverage of that development noted that the social media accounts of multiple cast members, including Troy Landry, Jacob Landry, and Bruce Mitchell, went completely silent following the news of the warrant, which suggested either a coordinated non-response or the kind of collective discomfort that comes when a family's legal troubles become impossible to address publicly without making things worse. Chase was eventually tried and the case was resolved. He has continued to appear on Swamp People in seasons following the incident, but the precise outcome of the criminal proceedings was not widely reported, and the show has never addressed the shooting directly on screen. The Landry name has carried Swamp People through 16 seasons and is likely to carry it further. But the legal record attached to that name is not limited to Chase, and understanding the full picture of what this cast has faced off-camera requires looking at every documented incident, including the wildlife violations and drug charges that ended one cast member's career entirely. Roger Rivers Jr., drug charges, and the arrest that nobody saw coming. Roger Rivers Jr. appeared on Swamp People during Season 5, where his on-screen biography described him as a man who hunted every day to feed a family of 5 and who had a self-described addiction to hunting the biggest alligators in the swamp. He was presented as a rugged, committed outdoorsman whose entire identity was organized around the Louisiana hunting life, which made the news that emerged from Sabine Parish in May 2017 particularly notable in its specificity and its range. Roger was booked into the Sabine Parish Detention Center on a combination of 18 wildlife violations and 2 drug charges that, taken together, painted a picture of someone who had been conducting an extensive illegal hunting and selling operation well outside the boundaries of what Louisiana law permits. The charges included 6 counts of selling alligator snapping turtle, 3 counts of selling reptiles or amphibians without the required collector's license, 3 counts of taking alligators without a license, 2 counts of failure to tag an alligator as required by law, 2 counts of selling fish taken recreationally, 2 counts of marijuana possession, 1 count of selling alligator meat illegally, and 1 count of selling deer meat illegally. He was released on a $10,000 bond. He has not appeared on the show since Season 5, and the arrest constitutes the documented reason for that absence. The irony that a man who made his television name hunting alligators legally during the regulated season was arrested for selling them illegally. Outside of it is the kind of detail that tends to get lost when the case gets summarized as simply drug charges. Nick Payne, the cast member with the longest criminal record. Nicholas Payne appeared on Swamp People for a single season as a gator hunting apprentice, and his tenure on the show was brief enough that many longtime fans may not immediately recall him. His legal record, however, is more extensive than any other member of this cast and predates his appearance on the show by enough years to suggest that the History Channel's vetting process did not reach as far as it might have. His most immediate televised moment of notoriety came from his arrest for assaulting a female police officer. According to Louisiana police, he struck her in the chest while she was attempting to write him a citation for disturbing the peace at a private home, then attempted to flee into the surrounding woods before being apprehended. The arrest report noted that this was not his first encounter with law enforcement, and the pattern of arrests that exists in his background stretches well beyond what any summary of his Swamp People connection captures. The Payne case raises a question that the show's long run has never fully answered, which is what standard of background verification a reality production about working-class outdoorsmen in rural Louisiana is expected to apply to its participants. The answer, based on the documented legal history of this cast across 16 seasons, appears to be a relatively minimal one, and whether that is the right standard for a show that gives national platforms to people whose private lives contain the kinds of records detailed here is a question that the ratings have, implicitly, already answered. The show has continued, the cast has changed, the legal records have accumulated, and the swamp has kept producing alligators regardless of what any of the people hunting them had done in a courtroom. Which Swamp People cast member's story shocked you the most? Do you think the show should address these off-camera struggles on screen, or keep the focus purely on swamp hunting? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.